Listening to Talk Radio 850 in Raleigh. Hey, Gabriel, you're on Free Talk Live.
All right, thank you for taking the call.
Sure, go ahead.
I've been put out with this Iraqi war. I feel that the USA was not on the high moral ground.
It rarely
now
is.
Or before? Which Iraqi war? This is we're on number 3 now.
Even before.
Okay.
Bush was there to steal the oil. We weren't there for freedom and democracy. He took the USA for a ride.
I remember people back then saying things like, well, at least we'll have lower gas prices. Now, how did that work out for you, by the way?
Oh, no, of course. Iraq was not going to let Bush steal the oil. Now we can't even buy the oil because the animal George Bush started saying that Iraq is holding out on us. This is a cycle from the word go.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And, of course, it's not just Iraq where the U.S. government is throwing its weight around and bombing and killing innocent people. So I definitely share some of your frustrations there. Anything else you want to get out?
Bush needs to be behind bars.
Well, now, of course, Barack Obama has continued the fighting, right? Like Barack Obama's just now. Didn't he?
He's back there now.
Send some more troops over there, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I think he sent troops somewhere else. Barack Obama is not the Barack Obama that we knew in 2008. The presidency and the power of the presidency went to his head.
There you go. That's what happens. The fact is that power corrupts.
And neither was George Bush. George Bush ran on a campaign.
Compassionate conservative.
Right, and smaller government and no nation building specifically is what he said. So that was a lie. What do you know? The politicians lied to you. Shocking.
Hey, Gabriel, are you willing to withhold your war taxes?
No, they'll probably arrest me. But Bush is an animal. He should be behind bars for what he did.
Thank you, Gabriel, for your call tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you. And that's why the government keeps getting away with it. That's why they can successfully murder tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of innocent people around the globe.
Because you'll just pick the other team the next time.
Because, you're just going to keep on paying for it. I mean, they've got you scared. You know they're killers, so you're afraid they're going to hurt you, right? Reasonable fear. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But to me, that's just more reason to not pay them because they're a criminal gang, and you shouldn't encourage criminality by giving them money. More coming up here. You can take control. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live. Jim is listening in Lynchburg, Virginia. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Derek, Jay, and Mark.
Guys, I cannot wait to hear your next segment on how to fix Detroit. If you've ever seen pictures of Gaza, I was there recently in Detroit. Oh, my God. The parking meters are not what you're worried about. That's not what I was calling about. I was calling to respond to the last caller, Gabriel.
Yes.
It was like George Bush is evil, George Bush is Satan. Okay, that may well be. I guess if the mainstream media repeats it enough, then you can walk around for the rest of your life saying that very nice.
Is the mainstream media saying those things about George Bush?
No, only during the last 7.9 years of his administration. I mean, Bush lied, people died. Bush lied, people died. This guy, I guess he's from Boston or wherever. It's crazy. Okay, it was
I guess I don't watch that much mainstream media. I never got that impression during the Bush administration that that the mainstream media was more harsh to him than they were towards Clinton or Barack Obama. Has that been your interpretation?
Anybody else in the studio agree with that?
I get the impression that. So here's what my suggestion is. I think that the media is a larger percentage Democrats than it is Republicans, but they try their very best to pretend to be fair.
Well, yeah, 92-8. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, the last statement.
92%.
I'll tell you, Jim.
92% to 8.
What I noticed watching TV during the Bush years was that there was a lot of comedians and people ready to make fun of George Bush, not really calling him out for being immoral or a warmonger, but willing to laugh at how he would flub a line or how he might fall over or open a locked door. It was more like making fun of the president than really calling him out for immorality.
Like on a comedy show, like Jon Stewart. Or something like
you
that.
would see it on Daily Show or Saturday Night Live, or even on news shows. I think they would sort of poke fun, like, oh, George Bush doesn't know what he's doing.
To be fair, haven't they done poke some fun at Barack Obama? On
Not really in the same way.
They've
I
got
would
that 57 states, the 57 states thing that they've trotted out for years, but there's really not as many sort of Bush had a way of sort of confusing words up sometimes, and
it's true.
It
and
must
he
be
did do
that
more like slapstick bumping into doors and stuff. So there was that.
My point wasn't really the media. I find it difficult to believe that you guys can come to that conclusion.
Well,
but,
I told you I don't
my
watch
point
mainstream media, so it just wasn't my impression.
But my point was that what that guy said was factually inane, that it was a war for oil. Hello, they had a $70 billion budget surplus in the Iraqi government after stealing all the money. We didn't get a dime. Okay, we got no oil. We got zero. The blood for oil, Bush lied, people. It's not true. We didn't get any oil. Instantly, the French and Chinese came in and got all the contracts. Not one barrel of oil flowed from Iraq to the United States.
Well, but you would agree that people, I mean, did you hear people say before the Iraq War things like, well, at least oil prices will be cheaper or something like that?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
and that didn't occur either. I mean,
right, it didn't.
All these things about demonizing Bush, I mean, they're not. Other things are.
Look, Jim, I'm with you on the whole, over the oil conclusion that you've made. It really seems to me that the war is about enriching the military-industrial complex and giving contracts to weapons manufacturers.
Well, even so, it's still them acting like security for the oil companies. I mean, it's not like the oil companies didn't get the oil.
Good
They
point.
certainly did. The fact is the U.S. military and the United States government don't give a flying flip at a rolling donut about the American people, and that was, made very, very clear. If that's what it was about, if it was a war of conquest for oil, then the American people would truly have benefited in the sense of lower oil prices. But we see that that's not the case. But we can certainly see that multinational oil companies benefited.
Yeah, we didn't get any oil. I mean, yes, we have a substantial stake of the global oil industry headquartered in the United States, but Royal Dutch Shell is a pretty big player. BP is a pretty big player.
Yep.
All the Italian and French companies. I mean, a lot of those countries didn't go over there and fight. I think, it was after 9/11. Everybody said there was weapons of mass destruction. Every Democrat, every ally, every enemy, the Russians, everybody. So we went over there to whack the guy before he started handing out WMD to terrorists. It wasn't about oil. We didn't get any oil.
I would like to say that there was there were a glaring group that was not for war in Iraq, and that was the libertarians. Ian, on this show, I was, prior to the Iraqi war, the Iraqi war is what converted me to being a peace activist, because I was for the invasion. I'm like, we can't have Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction. But Ian consistently, over and over, said, nope, nope. Nope, they're telling you lies. I can't believe you believe them. And then at some point or another, sure enough, they were telling us lies. I can't believe I believed them.
What lies were they telling us?
The smoking gun that would come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
Right, the weapons of mass destruction.
That's a lot of fearful language. Yeah, and I have a pertinent... I have a pertinent quote, caller, from Smedley Butler, one of the most decorated generals in history. He says, I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903, and in China in 1927, I helped to see to it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. So it seems like this is nothing new, that the military works for the benefit of private companies, and that's how it is.
Right. The cover story is that they're going to save you from the madman, but... yeah, not so much. Oh, wait, didn't they help that madman get installed there in the first place? Yeah, they did, as a matter of fact. The U.S. government did help him get installed in Iraq and helped give him weapons and things like that. So, kind of funny
No
stuff.
question that the military has intervened in Central America on behalf of American corporate interests. And, and there's no question that there were weapons of mass destruction there, and that 2,500 of them were found last week when ISIS overran the compound they were in. Nevertheless, where they got most of the weapons of mass destruction was from the same people telling it was from us. That's why we knew he had them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the weapons of mass destruction you're talking about are usually these are biological weapons, chemical weapons, and that wasn't what was sold
Right.
to the American people. They used WMD as shorthand for yellow cake, because yellow cake was what Colin Powell went to the UN with, and that's what And Colin Powell was their, he was their bullet catcher, because when Colin Powell went up and said to the UN, they've got this, they've got that. I believed him because Colin Powell was an unimpeachable individual. Then he comes back later and says, I was lied to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.